Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 94 based on novel. So let's start. The giant demon clan ancestor let out a wry smile. How could he resist the 1 billion soul flag that even ascendant cultivators dreaded? Although he had the founding ancestor's axe, with his current cultivation level, he couldn't use its full power. His eyes lit up as he let out a roar and he threw the axe at Wang Lin. The axe broke through all the soul fragments and closed in on Wang Lin in the blink of an eye. Wang Lin's eyes sparkled. He didn't show any sign of worry. When the axe got close, the celestial sword blocked it. Boom! More blood seeped out of Wang Lin's mouth and he was forced back several tens of feet. The axe was knocked away and landed on the ground. The giant demon clan ancestor's face was pale and his eyes were filled with madness. He shot Wang Lin a vicious look and took a deep breath, then his origin soul shook and he shouted, "Bloodline power." The reason he didn't use his bloodline power until now was because if he were to use it before he finished his possession, it would cause grave damage to his origin soul. It was very likely that his origin soul would collapse from using it, so it would be no different from suicide. Only when he completes the possession will he be able to use the bloodline safely, because a majority of the backlash will be absorbed by the body. Although some of it would still reach his origin soul, it was withstandable. Wang Lin's eyes were cold as he looked at the giant demon clan ancestor. He pointed at the soul flag and even more soul fragments charged out. Wang Lin had to kill this giant demon clan ancestor who knew that he had the heaven-defying bead. He had to kill him no matter what. The entire sky seemed to be moved by a giant hand and then a giant vortex suddenly appeared above the giant demon clan ancestor. This scene was exactly the same as when Wang Lin saw him use it against Sun Tai. At this moment, countless soul fragments covered the giant demon clan ancestor. They were all in the process of devouring him. The giant demon clan ancestor let out a sinister laugh. Turn! The giant vortex suddenly began to turn and an unimaginable suction force appeared. The moment it appeared, some of the soul fragments around the giant demon clan ancestor let out miserable screams and were sucked in. Wang Lin felt the powerful suction force surround his body and his body unwillingly flew toward the vortex. The giant demon clan ancestor shouted, "Wang Lin, this old man will risk my origin soul shattering to trap you in the void." There were countless soul fragments surrounding him and the 12 soul transformation soul fragments had already entered his body and began to devour his origin soul. His flesh had already been sucked dry and his origin soul was damaged. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. As he was sucked into the vortex, he looked toward the giant demon clan ancestor and let out an intriguing smile. He whispered, "Devour." The moment he said that, the soul fragments began to devour even faster. The giant demon clan ancestor let out several miserable groans before his origin soul was completely devoured. This generation's giant demon clan ancestor had died. But the bloodline power had already been activated and Wang Lin's body was dragged in. The moment his body entered the vortex, he reached out with his right hand and all the soul fragments quickly formed a chain to keep Wang Lin from being sucked in. Using the window of time the chain of soul fragments brought him, he activated the formation he had prepared ahead of time. As he felt the suction increase, he quickly recalled all the soul fragments and of course he wouldn't forget the giant demon clan ancestor's bag. Then the suction force increased even more and Wang Lin knew he couldn't resist it any longer. His eyes suddenly lit up as he looked at the giant axe 1,000 feet away. He reached out toward it, but a powerful force resisted his hold. Wang Lin let out a sound of surprise. At this moment, his body was being quickly dragged into vortex. Wang Lin raised his hand again and used all the spiritual energy in his body. "Collect," he shouted. The axe resisted once more, but this time Wang Lin had a tight grip on it and he dragged it toward him. The resisting power from the axe became even stronger. It was trying to break out of Wang Lin's grasp. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He pointed with his left hand and a few golden purple souls flew out to bring the axe back. At this point, half of Wang Lin's body was inside the vortex, and at the moment he was pulled completely into it, he finally managed to bring the axe over to him and put it into his bag. Then Wang Lin disappeared from planet Suzaku. Shortly after, the vortex faded away. There was only the giant demon clan ancestor's broken body left on the ground. From when he was forced to come out until the moment he died, he didn't get any chance to release the seals on his clan members, he could only watch as his clan fell from grace. Wang Lin's figure appeared in the void outside of planet Suzaku. His face was deathly pale without a trace of blood. What a powerful bloodline power! If the giant demon clan ancestor had reached the mid or late stage of soul transformation, the formation ancestor Du Tien gave me wouldn't have been of any use at all. Wang Lin pondered a bit before slapping his bag of holding to bring out the star compass. He controlled the star compass to fly toward planet Suzaku. Li Yuanfeng and the giant demon clan ancestor are both dead. News of this should quickly spread across planet Suzaku. Right now the most important matter is to help Wan get through the second arrival of the Heaven's Messenger. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and the star compass flew even faster. Half a month later, planet Suzaku appeared in his view. From here, planet Suzaku really did look very small. Next to it was an even smaller planet. This was where Wang Lin was accidentally transported to on his way back from the celestial realm. Wang Lin pondered a bit, then he steered the star compass toward that small planet. The star compass flew toward the small planet like a meteor. After he entered its atmosphere, he saw a mountain range below him. The star compass lost its effect in the sky, so Wang Lin jumped off of it and put it away. Then he moved like lightning. He disappeared as soon as he moved, and when he reappeared, he was already 5,000 kilometers away. The spiritual energy here was much weaker than on planet Suzaku. It was also very impure, making it unsuitable for cultivators to absorb. Wang Lin moved like he was very familiar with the surroundings. After a day, he arrived before a tall mountain. With a scan of his divine sense, he found a transfer array on the peak of the mountain. The formation is still here. Wang Lin stood before the ancient transfer array. He looked down at it and began to ponder. Back when he was teleported here from the celestial realm, he appeared in this transfer array, and it was also this transfer array that sent him home. I killed Li Yuanfeng and the giant demon clan ancestor, so it must have caught some attention. I might as well spend a few years here cultivating and then quietly I'll go back. With that, Wang Lin sat down cross-legged and his avatar and original body split. The original body sunk into the ground. This planet was only 1/10 the size of planet Suzaku, so, with the body of a 3-star ancient god, Wang Lin could withstand the pressure at the center. He sat down in the middle of the magma and began to cultivate. Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and a ray of red light flew out, turning into a giant axe before him. This axe was glowing red and it released a powerful killing intent. Wang Lin pondered a bit before trying to use his divine sense to leave a mark on it. Just then, a powerful force that resided inside the axe bounced Wang Lin's divine sense away. Interesting. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as his hand formed a seal and his origin soul left his body. He looked at the red axe and sucked. The red axe trembled before it turned into a ray of red light and was swallowed by Wang Lin's origin soul. There were now 2 items inside Wang Lin's origin soul. One was the 1 billion soul flag and the other was the red axe. His origin soul returned to his body. There must be an axe spirit inside the axe. I won't force it out, but I'll suppress it with the 1 billion soul flag and refine it with my origin soul. I want to see how long the axe spirit can last. Wang Li sneered as he took out a bag. This bag of holding belonged to the giant demon clan ancestor. He touched it to imprint his own divine sense onto the bag and then the objects inside quickly appeared in his mind. The giant demon clan ancestor had a lot of good stuff inside his bag. There were several dozen celestial jades and even top-quality spirit stones. There were naturally some treasures as well, and although they were powerful, they weren't anything noteworthy. After all, for the giant demon clan, their bodies were their best weapons, so treasures weren't used much. However, there were 2 items that caught Wang Lin's attention. One of them was a half-empty red jade bottle that contained some blood-like liquid. Wang Lin smelled the liquid and confirmed that it was indeed blood. When he saw the blood, he had a feeling that he had seen it before. Wang Lin pondered a bit while holding the bottle and then suddenly remembered. When he was exterminating the Ting family, he had found a similar bottle on Ting 1. This blood contains a hint of the bloodline of the ancient gods. Back then I used the bottle to activate an ability of the ancient god. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Although my original body became an ancient god from practicing the ancient god tactic, it was completely based on my own cultivation. Back then I only obtained the inheritance of knowledge and not power, so there are some abilities I can't use. This is a very useful thing for me whether I let my original body absorb it or use it to use an ability. No matter how big the price of this fight was, just getting this was worth it. Wang Lin took a deep breath and carefully put the small bottle into his bag of holding. The other thing that caught Wang Lin's attention was a wheel-shaped treasure. This wheel wasn't large, it was only about 1 inch in radius. The wheel was extremely plain without any decorations or shine, there were even signs of rust on it. The reason Wang Lin was interested in it was because Shuligua told him that there was a soul sealed inside it and begged him to release the soul. Shuligua's words made Wang Lin be on guard. He understood Shuligua very well because in a way, Shuligua was created by him. Shuligua had the intelligence that wandering souls lacked. The fact that he was a nascent soul cultivator turned into a wandering soul had a big part in this. After that, Shuligua's intelligence slowly recovered until he became the devil sword spirit he was now. Shuligua's personality was that of a scaredy cat, but at the same time he was also very proud. Overall, this made him a very complex devil. For him to beg Wang Lin so much to release the soul made Wang Lin cautious. Interesting. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. After pondering a bit, he was able to guess what happened. The giant demon clan ancestor must have used the soul inside the wheel to tempt Shuligua. This was why Shuligua was still thinking about it even after returning to him. After looking at the wheel for a bit, he took out the celestial sword. The moment the celestial sword appeared, Shuligua appeared as well. He let out a howl as he stared at the wheel with glowing eyes. Shuligua quickly said, "Master, this is the treasure wheel. There is a soul inside it, quickly release her." Wang Lin calmly asked, "How do you know about the soul inside this treasure wheel?" The giant demon clan ancestor called her out, "Master, quickly release her." Shuligua's expression became very anxious. Wang Lin looked at Shuligua and asked, "What cultivation level does this soul have?" The anxiety on Shuligua's became even stronger. It was like he could hear the little sister fairy calling out to him to save her. He became very impatient and said, "There is no cultivation level, it's just a soul fragment. If you're not going to save her, I'll do it myself." Shuligua didn't even realize that after seeing the wheel, his fear of Wang Lin disappeared and his tone unconsciously changed. Wang Lin's eyes faintly lit up and he smiled. "Don't rush. I'll release the soul for you now." With that, Wang Lin's hand formed a seal and shot out a ray of spiritual energy into the wheel. However, the treasure wheel released a green glow and quickly dissolved the ray of spiritual energy. Wang Lin let out a surprised sound and then looked more closely at the treasure wheel. Before, nothing about the wheel had caught his attention, but now that it was able to emit a green glow that neutralized his spiritual energy, it had his full attention. When the green light lit up, Wang Lin felt no spiritual energy fluctuations from the wheel. He pondered a bit before sending out another ray of spiritual energy. His eyes remained calm. A strange symbol the size of a thumbnail quickly appeared then disappeared. The green glow then appeared once more to dissolve the spiritual energy. Interesting. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Shuligua had reached his limit. Without a word, he charged out from the celestial sword toward the treasure wheel. Wang Lin shot Shuligua a cold look. Shuligua's actions were too strange, there was something off. He noticed that the moment Shuligua got close to the treasure wheel, the strange symbol appeared once more. The green glow appeared again and then Shuligua let out a miserable groan as he was knocked back 10 feet. His eyes were bloodshot. He let out a roar and was about to try again when Wang Lin pointed at him and locked him in mid-air. Shuligua turned around toward Wang Lin and shouted, "What are you doing? Let me go. I'm going to release her." Wang Lin coldly looked at Shuligua. Shuligua's body trembled and seemed to regain a trace of clarity. He looked terrifyingly at the treasure wheel and said, Master, please don't blame me. Every time I see the treasure wheel, I become unable to control myself." Wang Lin ignored Shuligua and then grabbed the treasure wheel. His left thumb pressed down on where the strange symbol was. The moment he did so, the strange symbol appeared and began to rapidly flash as the wheel released a green glow. Wang Lin let out a groan, but he kept on pressing down like he was breaking through countless barriers until he directly touched the treasure wheel. Then, along with a series of crackling sounds, countless cracks appeared and covered the treasure wheel. With a bang, the treasure wheel shattered into pieces. In an instant, a blinding, red light charged out from the shattered wheel. A crisp laughter that was filled with enough demonic power to shake anyone's heart came from the red light. This sound was filled with a mysterious power. The power that was holding Shuligua in place seemed to have melted like ice that had met the blazing sunday. Soon, Shuligua regained his freedom. His eyes were filled with desire as he quickly flew toward the red light. The red light turned into a very enchanting woman. She was only wearing a thin layer of clothing that revealed a lot of skin. She glanced at Shuligua and smiled. "Elder brother Shu, little sister has waited for a long time. Why did you only save me now?" With that, she raised her delicate hand and pointed at Shuligwa. Her expression made it look like she was flirting with her lover. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. When the woman appeared, even his heart was affected. Luckily, he had cultivated the soul sealing technique, which linked his soul to the 1 billion soul flag, allowing him to quickly recover. But just this caused him to be shocked. If he was distracted like that during a fight, he would be put in a dire position. You dare to use such a demonic technique before me? Wang Lin let out a cold snort. This sound entered Shuligwa and the woman's ears and echoed like thunder. Shuligwa's body trembled and his eyes immediately became clear. He was already a devil, so after being called out twice by Wang Lin, he realized what was wrong. Terrified, he quickly backed up. The woman turned around and stared at Wang for a bit before letting out a beautiful smile. At this moment, everything else dimmed and her smile was the only thing remaining. The woman's eyelashes slightly trembled and she whispered, as if she were complaining, "What a vicious person. It's not like I meant to offend you." Her voice contained a mysterious power. When it landed in Wang Lin's ears, his heart trembled once more. Shuligwa's body trembled and the clarity in his eyes disappeared only to be filled with desire once more. The woman let out a proud smile and flew toward Wang Lin. She arrived before him and reached for his forehead. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin's eyes became clear and there was a hint of disdain in them. The woman exclaimed. She realized that something was wrong and tried to back away. However, Wang Lin took out the soul flag and along with Li Yuanfeng, over 1,000 soul fragments charged out. The woman exclaimed once more and backed up without any hesitation. Li Yuanfeng's soul fragment quickly charged out and surrounded the woman with the other soul fragments. Just as they were about to devour her, a mysterious power came from her eyes and she smiled. "Big brothers, why must you all be like this? I'm not your enemy." With just one sound, even Li Yuanfeng's soul fragment was startled and his eyes filled with confusion. The other soul fragments looked even worse as they stared dumbfoundedly at the woman. "He bullied me. Help me kill him, please? After killing him, I'll spend some time with you all." The woman's cheeks blushed. With that, Li Yuanfeng's soul fragment trembled and along with the other soul fragments charged toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression remained calm. He didn't even look at the soul fragments and pointed behind him. Shuligwa had also fallen under the woman's law and was about to sneak attack Wang Lin but was injured before he could. The black gas around him quickly dissipated and he quickly backed away. His eyes regained their clarity. This time it was his fear of Wang Lin that won over the woman's charm. He secretly cursed in his heart. Why did he attack this fiend? Great, now all the credit he had earned from killing the giant demon clan ancestor was gone. The more Shuligwa thought about it, the more angry he became, so he shouted at the woman, "Wretch, it's all your fault for charming me." She revealed a sad expression and was about to speak when Li Yuanfeng's soul fragment along with the other soul fragments arrived before Wang Lin. Wang Lin pointed with his right hand and all the soul fragments let out miserable groans. Along with Li Yuanfeng's soul fragment, all of them scattered. "Enough. You, come here." Wang Lin reached out. The woman exclaimed and tried to dodge, but she was caught by Wang Lin and brought before him. After carefully looking at the woman, he was able to see through her secret. Inside the soul fragment was a domain. This domain was very strong and could charm a myriad of things in the world. A soul fragment with a domain. Interesting. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. "What is your name?" The woman struggled for a long time. She was breathing hard as she charmingly said, "I didn't even offend you. Why aren't you letting go?" Her charming breathing carried a hint of her charm. Wang Lin coldly looked at the woman and pointed at her brow. She revealed a painful expression and soon began to scream. Strands of black gas came out from her body as if she could dissipate at any moment. My name is My Ji," the woman quickly said, as she looked at Wang Lin with terror in her eyes. After she gained sentience, everyone she had met was charmed by her. Even the giant demon clan ancestor was charmed. Although he managed to break free from her in the end, he was never able to do anything malicious to her, so he only sealed her away. After she was sealed, she was still looking for a way to escape the giant demon clan ancestor. One day, she met Shuligwa. She easily charmed Shuligwa and he did good by finally saving her. However, she never would have imagined that there would be a man like this. Not only was all her charm useless against him, but he could even bear to harm her. What is the matter with that domain in your body? Wang Lin wasn't affected by her charm because of his life experience and his cultivation of the soul sealing technique. In his 500 years of cultivation, Wang Lin had never been with a woman, so his heart was much more determined than the giant demon clan ancestors. At the same time, the soul sealing technique was the most revered technique in the soul refining sect. Aside from controlling the 1 billion soul flag, its other use was to make it impossible for his soul to be affected by anything. It was because of this that he could control the 1 billion soul fragments and not suffer the backlash. The woman looked at Wang Lin in terror. No longer daring to use her domain, she said, "I don't know how it came to be. When I woke up, the domain was already there." Wang Lin pondered a bit. This woman's cultivation level was only at the core formation stage, but her domain was powerful enough to affect someone like Li Yuanfeng. This made matters very strange. This woman must have been formed when a part of a powerful senior's origin soul split off. The result was this soul fragment. That would explain why it has such a powerful domain. This domain should be related to charm or lust. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. His hand formed a seal to place a restriction on the woman, and then he put her inside the soul flag. Shuligua immediately let out a smile and carefully said, "Master, if there is nothing else, I'll head back first." With that, he went back into the celestial sword and didn't dare to come out. Wang Lin found it very funny and no longer bothered with Shuligua. He slapped his bag of holding, causing the pagoda to fly out and become large next to him. Zhu Yi's domain immediately spread out and surround everything within 50 kilometers. The moment the pagoda appeared, Zhu Yu quickly ran out. After seeing Wang Lin, she immediately pouted and said, "Bad uncle, you are a bad uncle. I don't like you anymore." Little White came out next to Zhu Yu with his head down and lied down next to her. Although it was hard to notice because he was covered in fur, it wouldn't be wrong to describe him as completely famished. "I'm a demonic tiger, yet I had to eat fruit for months. Not only that, but I couldn't eat my fill and only ate 1 fruit a day. I couldn't even smell any meat." How sad! Little White let out a pitiful growl and tears almost fell from his eyes. There were several occasions where he wanted to eat Zhu Yu, but he couldn't help but think of how Wang Lin would deal with him if he did, so he gave up on the idea. More importantly, as time passed, he could feel a terrifying power slowly growing inside Zhu Yu. He was worried that before he even started eating her, this little brat would eat him instead. "Bad uncle, look at how thin Little White is. We had to eat fruit for months." She looked at Wang Lin with eyes filled with dissatisfaction. Not just Little White, but even she herself had gotten a lot thinner. Wang Lin rubbed his nose. He had indeed forgotten about this matter. After all, he hadn't needed to eat in 400 years, so he forgot that Zhu Yu still needed food. Luckily, when he sent Zhu Yu into the pagoda, he gave her a lot of spirit fruits as snacks. Also, the celestial spiritual energy inside the tower was very thick. As long as one didn't directly absorb it, it could still make them not need to eat. Wang Lin's forehead was covered in sweat. Even when he faced soul transformation old monsters, he didn't feel this awkward or embarrassed. After hearing Zhu Yu's words, he could only bitterly smile. "Eh? This is Uncle's fault. I definitely won't forget next time," Wang Lin quickly promised. Zhu Yu rolled her eyes and pouted. "Uncle's promises never count. Last time you promised me a big tiger and that never came true. I won't believe you this time." Wang Lin wryly smiled. "Okay, little Zhu Yu, Uncle will bring you to catch a big tiger. I think that there should be some demonic beasts here." Zhu Yu was a child after all, so when she heard this, she immediately smiled and clapped her hands. "Uncle has to keep his promise this time. Let us go right now." Wang Lin revealed a gentle look as he rubbed Zhu Yu's head and smiled. "Let's go now." Zhu Yu quickly nodded. She pondered for a bit and then said, "Uncle, I don't know why, but every day I would dream. In my dreams, I would see a big sister with you. That big sister looked very familiar. So strange. Wang Lin's heart trembled. He lowered his head and looked at Zhu Yu. After a while, he let out a sigh and looked into the sky. Only 6 more years and you can awaken. Zhu Yu looked at Wang Lin and then a faint and undetectable trace of fear appeared in her eyes. Zhu Yu whispered, "Uncle, little Yu is a monster." Little White was lying on the side. When he heard this, he quickly nodded and thought, "Indeed, you are a little monster. How else would a demonic tiger such as myself be bullied by you? I was forced to leave the mountain and leave behind all my female tigers, alas." Wang Lin was startled. He looked down and rubbed Zhu Yu's head as he whispered, "Little Yu, what's wrong?" Tears fell from Zhu Yu's eyes as she began to cry. "Little Yu is a monster. Uncle, little Yu is a monster. In fact, about a year ago, I could feel a little person inside me. Uncle, I'm scared." Wang Lin stared at Zhu Yu. He wasn't able to say anything for a very long time before he finally said, "Little Yu isn't a monster, she isn't." Zhu Yu jumped into Wang Lin's embrace. She grabbed onto his clothes and said, "Uncle, I can feel that the little person in my body is like the big sister in my dream. She is that little person. Uncle, little Yu is scared. Can you take her out?" Her little hand firmly gripped Wang Lin's clothes as if Wang Lin would disappear. She let go. She was scared, and this was the only way for her to feel safe. Wang Lin's body trembled. At this moment, he felt like he had been struck by lightning. Why did it turn out like this? Wang Lin muttered to himself, as his eyes were filled with complex emotions. Back then, Li Muwen's nascent soul was placed into the pregnant woman by Wang Lin. This was a type of possession, but the baby had no soul yet and was only a mass of flesh. In principle, Li Muwen was Zhu Yu and Zhu Yu was Li Muwen, so why was this situation of Zhu Yu rejecting Li Muwen happening? Could it be that when Li Muwen's nascent soul entered the pregnant lady's stomach, the baby had already developed its own soul? Wang Lin's body trembled. He was fighting the heaven's messenger back then, so he wasn't able to take a closer look. If this is true, then Li Muwen's nascent soul will slowly devour Zhu Yu's soul and she will completely replace Zhu Yu as the owner of the body when she wakes up. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with confusion. Zhu Yu raised her head. Her eyes were filled with tears as she whispered, "Uncle, little Yu is scared. Can you quickly take her out, please?" "Did I do the wrong thing?" Wang Lin looked at Zhu Yu. He felt pain in his heart. "Little Yu, don't be scared. Just pretend that the little person inside you is your big sister. Don't worry." Wang Lin smiled while watching Zhu Yu. His smile was filled with complex emotions. "Really? Uncle isn't lying to me?" Zhu Yu's big eyes revealed naivety, purity, and innocence. In addition, Wang Lin could also see a deep sense of attachment and trust in her eyes. Really, the pain in Wang Lin's heart intensified. Wang Lin knew the choice he had to make, but in life, choosing one life sometimes means giving up another. Why it is like this? Wang Lin's eyes were filled with pain. Although Zhu Yu was little, she was a very sensitive person. She looked at Wang Lin before burying her little head in his chest and said, "Uncle, don't feel bad. When Uncle feels bad, I feel bad as well. In the future, I won't talk about this matter. I believe that if Uncle says it's not a problem, then it's not a problem. Uncle, weren't you going to take me to catch a big tiger?" Wang Lin looked at Zhu Yu. He nodded as he wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and said, "Uncle will take you to catch a big tiger." With that, he hugged Zhu Yu and flew into the air. Zhu Yu smiled, but this smile was like a silent cry in Wang Lin's eyes. "Uncle, bring Little White. HMPH, Little White has been naughty. Once Uncle catches me a big tiger, I'll see if Little White continues to be naughty. If he continues, I'll have the big tiger bite Little White." Little White's body trembled as he let out a pitiful cry and thought, "I'm a demonic tiger." Before he could finish, he was grabbed by Wang Lin and disappeared along with them. As they flew, Ju Ayu's eyes were still on Wang Lin. She held back her tears and thought silently in her heart, "Uncle, little Ayua is already 13 years old. There are some things I already understand. You are different from Grandpa Tai Yang. When you look at me, you aren't looking at me but at the little person inside me." Grandpa Tai Yang wasn't the same. What he looked at was me. "I know that when you saved me from that bad cultivator, it wasn't for me but for the big sister inside me. The big sister I saw in my dreams is very pretty, but I believe that when I grow up, I'll be even prettier, so uncle, don't leave me." This video will end here.